No, I was just gonna, Jalel glossed over the most important part. I think that, I mean, he didn't gloss over it, is that it goes back to how the emotion creates the physicality. And that's why I wanted to kind of ask Mr. Keshe how the woman from Europe who went from being a certain color and a certain structure, similar to the two Chinese doctors that turned to a different race and a different color, how the understanding how we've been taught how the front of the body is different than the back of the body, how your emotion determines how you manifest. And for all these things that you are linked to in physicality, your hair, how you look to other people, the really the GANs is making, see, that's, I think, the beauty of the GANs is that it bridges the gap between the subconscious emotion and the conscious emotion to work out issues that people have with their physicality. Whereas you think that your physicality determines your emotion, well, actually your emotion determines your physicality. And so if you apply these salves or these widgets or these other things to your physicality, how it may soothe an emotion, but it doesn't actually get to the actual, I don't want to say trauma, but it looks as if our whole life is a trauma of sorts. And because, as Mr. Keshe has said, I believe he said that man has come to believe that they were born to suffer. And so, how do we get away from that? And how do we reconcile that our emotion actually creates our physicality? It creates every aspect of it. And so, when you see certain things happening to you, it's because there's something is being resolved, or something is being interacted with, especially if you're exposing yourself to the GANs and the plasma. And so I just wanted to know if sometimes I don't speak it in the right way, but if Jalel would talk about that, the emotion and how it creates the physicality.
No, look, the soul is created the physicality and bring the emotion to be responsible to exchange the information and the knowledge and the energy. But the emotion, because it have access to the world of the soul, in a way, as Mr. Cash explained it, like a president and prime minister and people. So the prime minister want to be in this position of the president. He want to take over, to be in this place, but this is what is wrong. So it's the emotion, which is the um, contact between the soul and what its function and what its need, and the physicality and how it's operate.
Now, when someone goes through a chemotherapy regimen, a lot of people apparently lose their hair. Is that from the treatment or is that from the emotions?
It's a huge energy.
Yeah,
They receive a huge
I
energy,
understand.
and this huge energy,
Doesn't have a place to go
yes,
except inflate the cells.
no, because look, because the hair, it will also collect energy from outside. So the body, it will cut the receivers, because he's already
Too much
contained
energy. Yeah.
so much energy. Yes, he will explode without losing this hair. He will explode. So he lose the hair, like the tree, when the tree cut out the leaves
Yeah.
in certain time. It's due to the energy. When they have leaves in that time, they will lose a lot of energy, because they do not receive an energy back. So they lost a lot of leaves until the right time when it come back again, they can interact with the environment and take and give in that respect.
It's like when the
Mr.
boat,
Cash, do I have a plus today or minus? I think I will have minus today.
it's like when the boat is sinking and they throw everything off the boat to lighten up the weight of the boat so it doesn't sink
Exactly,
the
exactly.
same way. Yeah.
Maybe he's fixing dinner or something.
No, I'm just listening. You can't pull me in, not this way.
Good evening, Mr. Cash.
Good evening. The problem is that a lot of us are not aware of subconscious pressures we carry. And these subconscious pressures, be whatever, dictates a lot on how we will manifest ourselves or how we present ourselves. And primarily, not only we feel in danger at the present time personally, but we have a second, or what we call a hidden us, which is part of the community, which is part of a bigger soul, a bigger structure, which that at the moment has or feels endangered. And in society, we live two lives. We live two distinct lives. One, we live as us, and subconsciously through our soul, we live as member of the community where we live, and a member of community where we are part of a nation, and subconsciously of a planet, and going to outside this into a space, we'll become more aware of that. One of these is, for example, nowadays we interfere with birth rate, with all sorts of contraceptives. If mankind was not allowed to do this, you'll find out we will have a different kind of life. There is a tribe, as I've said in other teachings, in Africa, which is monitored closely by United Nations. They don't release the name of the tribe, but you can find in archives of UN that in this tribe, boys and girls have no sex till the puberty. And at the puberty, they decide to change sex, become a boy or a girl. And all that is how the feeling within the tribe is. If the tribe needs a boy or a girl, how many died in the past time, and how many need to be reproduced to produce, and all sorts of factors like maybe so many boys percentage die more because they go hunting or whatever. So we see, and we are fully aware of this in the structure of the technology. And at the moment, the human race sees itself in danger. And especially with such a huge situation which is running at the moment, we all are individually affected, but collectively, collective soul of the man feels the same, endangered. And we expect to see what we call mutation by the mankind to evolve, to respond to this change. There is one way what we have brought forward to take man into space, and another way over next 2-3 generations, 25 years, maybe less, between 5 to 7 years, will mutate. And we mutate in response to this virus. That is 100% sure. Doesn't matter what we receive, what we are given, our resilience of RNA and collective the soul of the man on the planet Earth and collective soul of the universal community will bring a change, will overcome this. That's for sure. As we go back into the beginning of the man, as man came as a small mammal and became what it is today, we will evolve through two ways, one through consciousness and one through the soul of the mankind. And we are watching this very closely. Doesn't matter what governments bring, what people decide what to do, what systems, G5 or whatever be brought in, collectively, our soul in a very short time will make a decision as a collective, as a human race, and will evolve as an RNA and moves it into DNA that will guarantee the survival and keeps the original structure. And this is part of the work which I watch when we wrote the report, 26 different kind of mutation of the virus. It was very clear that mankind is just about to go through an evolution, through the stress of time, the change, feeling endangered, excuse me. And in that process, we will change. This without a doubt. We've been through this many times before. A number of us will not stand the evolution and will come out of it much stronger in being able to handle viruses. In a way, short term, we might see losses or maybe some changes, but long term, the soul of humanity will change and will change our RNA. We all might change 1 tone or 2 tone in color. Either way, from what we are, to guarantee we absorb new radiations from the atmosphere, from cosmos, that allows the DNA of human race to be kept the way it is. Because there is one thing which is very clear. It doesn't matter how much chemical you put into RNA, into DNA, trying to change RNA, RNA is controlled by the soul, not by the man. They talk about because they've seen the proteins and the rest of it, but in a simple way, the structure of RNA will not change in the background in totality unless all of us as a human race decide to do so. Or collectively, part of us in an isolated position. This is why we start teaching of one soul, which will come, will change all that. And this is one of the biggest fear in the background with the governments and officials and the people who plan this bigger change, that we are just about to reach that point. Creation of one soul, which rises above anything. One of the changes is that we will not be afraid of anything because we can transmute. We will not be afraid of anything because if it's not acceptable to our soul and physicality, doesn't matter what they put into you, it comes out. And we see this. And I know this firsthand. Because the body moves itself to the condition that it is not easy for our RNA, our soul, to be endangered. And this will be coming very, 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 very clear in the coming time. It doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter how we go in the depth of a space, we will not change. We will not lose our RNA base and the fundamental of it, and collectively it will keep that way. So some of you might lose hair, some of you worried about your beauty, some of you might get fat, some of us die because of the situation, but overall, collective soul of humanity will not allow this to happen. And we are watching. Whatever plan has been put into operation, let it be. But in essence, you cannot change. You will not change the RNA of mankind. You cannot do it because for an RNA to change, a number of us have to go through it to change the whole race. And this will not happen. It cannot happen, and we will see it. We don't see it as something negative, but you see it as a progressive way for mankind to be open, to become aware of receiving energies. Because up to now, we didn't know what viruses are, how we receive these energies. Now we find a way. We have a solution. In a way, when you look at it, with the farming, which is used, the gases, with the farming we use for the animals, we are changing these in the background. And we will see it. The hair loss, we see in one area, many men lost their libido, many men lost their sexual behavior, women lost their sexual behavior. We have doctors who work for the foundation in the background. We are operating. We've seen 98% loss of sperm. That is total none. We have brought it back to 80% in less than 3 months using the technology and directly consequence of the viruses. So you can do whatever you like, or anybody can do whatever they like. But at the end of it, not much can be done. And don't forget, in the past, we had leaders who created wars, to kill, to control, to be. We saw with Black Death in Europe, how the grandson of the Mughal Empire threw the, what do you call it, Black Death virus right across Europe and killed many. At the end, humanity mutated. We found a solution for it, and we go the same way. But the strangest thing is, what's going to happen to these people? What is going to happen to their descendants? What's going to happen to their operation? Now we see the guy who was a computer guy, now is the biggest private landowner, involved in all the pharmaceutical, genetic modification of the food. When you are this big, it's already planned, and those who buy from me will stay alive. The plan is much bigger in the background. But with introduction of gases and energy food, which comes, you can have all the lands in the universe. The beauty of it is, in the coming time, in the coming weeks, as we go through teachings, something becomes very clear too. And I've thought about this before in the teaching. As we don't have courts, as we don't have hospitals, as we don't have jails, as we don't have currency in the universal community, do we have a farming land? Does any race in the universe cultivates the way mankind does? No. Does anyone grows animals to kill? No. So in a way, let them do whatever they like. We have millions of people around the Keshe Foundation around the world who are monitoring, and even Gates and the rest of them are monitoring. Don't forget, in 2006, we negotiated with Gates. They were trying to take over the Keshe Foundation. They are sitting around us, they watch, even amongst you, all the recordings are listened to, and they see how they can change it, how they can use it, that they'll be one step ahead. But at the end of it, ask yourself one question. And if you can answer this question, you answered to another bigger question of what is jigsaw, is we talk about UFOs for centuries. Has anybody seen these people unloading food on Earth? Bringing food with them, bringing cattle with them? Have we seen animals from outside or grown here? And as we're developing the knowledge of the man in that direction, in the coming months and years, does any of you need to eat? That these guys buying all the lands and controlling all the food and controlling all the hospitals? So you got to trust in the ability of the soul of the man that will take mankind through, and that's why there is a need for such elevation of the soul at this moment of time, to be able to cross this line. And we'll see it. Does not matter how much hair you lose, most probably all going to be bald, because in a space we can't carry hair. And most probably, most of us will turn into certain shapes and parameters that our soul can stand universal gravitational field forces. Our body structure today on Earth is connected to magnetic gravitation of Earth. In the universe, most of the creatures look the same in so many ways, because our gravitational magnetic field forces of our soul, even though has a basis of the amino acid of the man, will interact with the universal field forces in the cosmos. We all change. We have to change. All the races in the universe have changed when they became passengers of the cosmos. As long as you are in your house, it's you and what's in it. You put your foot outside, the traffic, the atmosphere, the air pollution, everything else comes to play. You cross borders, you go from a low hill to a high hill, stay there 3-4 generations, you'll be looking like a uphill man. How did they change? Because you have to change into it. When we see races will change according to the environment they are. And all of us, one way or another, we will manifest ourselves in a physical dimension according to the atmospheric condition of the position where we'll manifest ourselves. For one sure, for fact, none of you will have a single hair on your body, man or a woman, because does not support, is not supported, is impossibility to do in the dimension of the space. So if you're worried losing some hair, in a few months' time, in a couple of years, that mankind starts becoming passengers of the universe, and you go into the depth of the universe, you're not wearing a cosmos suit, you're not a cosmologist or whatever, that we connected to Earth. You cannot take air with you. There is no option but to go back into the essence of the creation of the soul and the physicality. And you will look the way in the passage of the universe, everybody else is conditioned to the field forces of the universe. We're all going to change. Most of you will most probably will look, as we see, to the eye of the man, a shiny silverish color, which is a manifestation interaction of the certain cosmic fields with the dimension of manifestation. We might color ourselves, we might clothe ourselves, but how do we clothe ourselves? We don't have no cottons. Even you wear a cotton shirt with the skin and the dimension you have, it doesn't manifest itself because the new field forces which manifested you does not support the amino acid of the cotton. We cannot dress up. We cannot fool by covering. We are naked. And this is what most of you will face in a coming time as the human race comes on the position of the deep space travel. You will change. You watch yourself, your children, your family traveling with you, going through the change as you are going. This is why, if you go back into the teaching, I said we created shops, we created places, we create machines that people can go and see how they will look in the position they manifest themselves. If you want to live, you cannot travel 1,000 years on the board of a ship and carry all the oxygen and try to create all the oxygen you have and all the food. We have no option but to mutate. And this is a position where this virus will give us that chance. And we start all mutating. But in essence, we stay as a human race. Amino acid, 43 gravitational magnetic field, and then how this 43 in the dimension of the universe can match itself with the energy of its soul, then we manifest ourselves.
Mr. Keshe, if we do mutate,
Yes.
does this mean that we will be immune to other viruses or only this one?
No. We are never immune from viruses. Viruses are part of the feeding frenzy of the universe. What is virus to you is food to me. So we evolve not to accept energies which can create destruction of the plasma of our soul. You know, they say to you, don't touch this fruit, it's poison. Our soul knows which fields it needs to receive that it can guarantee its integrity of its existence. It's totally different.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Keshe, you've already activated that in us, though, in a way.
We activated much more than you think.
Well, that's why I said, so it still goes to the question of whether people are still in crisis. They're not post-corona. They still have not been activated in a way that they understand.
In a way, there are a lot of things which will manifest itself in coming time. And one of them is collectively, those of you who use cancers and other things will come to realize a lot of things happening to the others, but it doesn't happen to you. You get the corona, but no problem. You know, overcome it. At the moment, at this moment, we have not, as far as we have information, people who have used the technology which has been dispensed correctly. We have not had, in a way, people who have lost their lives. In latter stages, they come, they do whatever, but people who have been, but you have to understand, we use the gases in conjunction and balance with the soul. You cannot change. There is a reason, there is a position which the soul agrees to be in a given position and time. We cannot change.
So
You
can I?
cannot.
Oh, go ahead.
You cannot change what is being said to happen and what is supposed to happen and the way things are happening. We're watching, monitoring very closely. Everything is monitored. And what we see, there's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of people being financially supported to get this through. But as I said very clearly, just learn how to protect yourself. Within hours, you walk away from it. I've been there. When the corona happened in Iran, in China, Chinese authorities blocked us a lot receiving information. But at the same time, National Security of China, in the background, provided drivers and everything for the foundation to be able to test, that they could pick it up. In Iran, we had a free hand. And we went right away through it. Even today, the teams in the background, even the divided in 2 or 3, are working the same. And we've seen the mutation. We watched every step of it. I stayed up 24 hours a day, day in, day out, and monitored how human race will respond to this. I wasn't much interested in how corona will develop. I was much more interested into how the society and how the people react and how they mutate. And if you read the report, there is a lot of hidden information sitting in it. I spent days and nights, paragraphs with the head of the Keshe Foundation writing the report, with the other Keshe Foundation members writing the report. And there's a lot of hidden information in there. You read the report, we have given a solution for life, for man in a space. The Mona report is the fundamental key for man travel into space. Maybe the Corona report is more important than putting book 1, 2, and 3 together. Because there is a lot of information in there, how man will overcome the viruses in the space. How we do it. This is a recipe for deep space. That's why you've seen we put so much effort into it. It's not a key just only for Corona. It tells you everything you need to know, how to survive, how to look at, how to operate, how to organize everything when you're in space. It's a space book.
Well, perhaps that leads into my next question about the societal change. If their next attempt to control is to use the perception of the universal community and how it is opposite of what we knew, as far as they do no harm and do not interact, how their use of the unknown or the fear of the unknown as like aliens or UFOs can be used, how would that and this reaction of the society, you can't make a lie into truth, and that's kind of the if the intention is to do that, what are the best ways we see that as a society we deal with that type of attempt on us? Other than to speak about it and to communicate about, if I guess if we lose the ability to communicate in some ways about it and just talk about it, just talking about it diffuses it. So, but will if our dream is to go into space and and that is our intention, no matter what they try to do to us, that it won't affect it per se, but it can affect the society that will lead to the mutation in the RNA?
The fact is, when we look at it from outside, all the things they've done, we've seen up to now. Is nothing compared to what mankind is going to face in space. If you're crying for such a simple thing, how are you going to stand on the slot with what I call deep space? You haven't even scratched the surface. If such a situation has brought such a fear to man, what are you going to do when you face with viruses thousands of times stronger than this? Thousands of times. This is nothing. This is just a little child playing with you. What are you going to do when massive energies, which by accident one of the strings of the strength matches or can link with one of your amino acids or one of the elements of in your body in a plasmatic condition? This is an eye-opening for human race. You're worried about the virus. I'm worried how you as mankind will survive the depth of the universe when you travel and such a little thing has crippled you. Give me about 5 minutes, I'll come back, please.
Elias has put in the chat the link to the special edition of this report, the successful application of the newly discovered GANS plasma and GANS water technology for detection, cure, prevention, and environmental disinfection of the COVID family of viruses in trials in Iran 2020 pandemic. I haven't read the whole report. I've read some of it, but it would make a beautiful series of classes, as Mr. Keshe just indicated, a lot of hidden knowledge. Anyone else while we're standing by?
Hello, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead, Jefferson.
Oh, glad to talk to you again. I would like to say something to Mr. Keshe.
I think he's checking
Humbly.
something.
Yes, humbly. As always. We really need you. You are the creator. And I'm not about the ego of the physicality, but I'm talking about the universal community throughout the center of the principal matter. You know, Mr. Keshe. You're going to make the job one way or another way. But if you are with us and give us the way, that's what I've been waiting for 10,000 years. How come it's not possible? It's not absolutely possible. You know what I mean? And I would like to share to everyone that the Keshe Foundation, Keshe, One Cup on Life, copo da vida, qualquer coisa que vocês procurarem na internet, I would like to say that anything that you look for, One Cup on Life, o copo da vida, coisas ou tudo relacionado à Fundação Keshe está liberado pelo sistema de segurança do Google Search. É só procurar. I would like to say that all the search that you might have of copo, uma vida, Keshe Foundation, or whatever, it's going to be in the first paragraph, because this is the creator's strength and knowledge. So we give it freely from our soul to all souls in the existence. That's good. We are one. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, again. Salon, good night.
Mr. Keshe is probably either baking bread or taking a call from a world leader.
No, none. Uh, the the cycle of the knowledge, in a way, where you read the virus report, shows the way. First of all, how to understand it, and then how to handle its mutation. Because you see how it's set. If you read the report, we show the way. When you come across a new virus, you come across a new condition, how to address it, how to mix and match to find the energy field transfer of the virus. The biggest problem is that we want to fight it, but the secret and the key to fight any virus on this planet, to overcome anything from a cold, from herpes or whatever, is to use its escape route. And the escape route to all viruses, which is connecting to the body of the man, is within the amino acid. If you have a virus which locks into amino acid, it has to go through the nitrogen, the oxygen, the hydrogen, or the carbon. And for it to overcome and lock into it, these four, as this part of their structure, are continuously in communication to each other, with each other. So doesn't matter what virus attacks even the soul of the man. If you understand that the soul of the man is based on the amino acid of the man's diversity of fields, you need to go through its line of communication. If you're in house A, somebody is in house B, somebody is house C, or somebody is house D, you're in the house, you're on your own. When you build road to each other, that's the line of communication, that's where you work on. This is where they can come to you through the roads, which connects you. And in the amino acid of the man, there's only one connection line. It means a lot of knowledge seekers haven't understood the knowledge. You have the carbon, which is the communicator. You have hydrogen, which is the energy supply. You have oxygen, which is holding it together. It's the planet on its own. It creates its own gravitational magnetic field. And then you have nitrogen, which is a reserve tank. So in any combination, any virus, be it cold, be it whatever, you need to have. This is why, principally from the day one, the first thing we taught was creation of CO2. This was the reason beginning, the very first gas I thought, which was the energy of it, not the gas, was the energy of the carbon. And then you work on it. In a way, you have a way in. The way the virus went in, you go in. If the virus has access to the amino acid of the man, which then it takes over the cell, which is a combination of amino acids, it has found a way to get into the communication line. You break into the communication line and you puncture it. And any of you in the universe, be it whatever energy pack sits with you, you always go through that system. And many times I explain in a very simple way. And I taught 2 or 3 doctors of the Keshe Foundation who betrayed the foundation when they were taught fully, and they thought now they have learned they can earn their money of it, and they paid worse with themselves, was for them to teach on to all of you was the secret of connection. You all produce gases, you all produce CO2, you all produce, what are you producing it for? If you are producing all these gases, how are you going to connect to the body of the man? How do you find a line of connection? Why, from the beginning, we keep on telling you to collect the amino acid on top of your water? The gas you collect is an energy tank. Is an energy, how much you're going to put in it. But without the line of communication, you're worth nothing. Doesn't matter how much food you have in the house, if you can't get it to your child, it's no good. Doesn't matter how much gases you produce. If you cannot find a way to get to the body of the man, you're useless. This is why when in all the teaching, I keep on emphasizing, in all the teaching, very simple fact, that when you produce CO2, the amino acid which is collected on top of the water has the strength of the CO2. That's the key for all of you to survive with any virus. Creation of the field forces and the strength of the CO2 amino acid. And none of you do. I produce gases, I give gas. You give 10 liters of your gas water of cup number 1. You don't give the man in the mixture or separately 10 milliliters of the amino acid of it. You're useless. You better carry water from the tap. Unless during the process of washing, some of that amino acid stayed in it. Or some of the metals or atomic structure was left in the cup during the washing, that in the process of transportation or staying in a house, collected some amino acid or created some amino acids from the atmosphere. Because when you start the process in a cup, doesn't finish. So all of you, you have a fear of your life, what? You name it, monkey virus, donkey virus, comes from monkeys to HIV or comes from the flu. Any of them, just be blind to it. If he has access to your cell, you have a key, you have a way to puncture it, you have a way to deplete it, and none of you ever do. As I said, we start teaching you deeply, very rapidly. The request of the Keshe Foundation, start teaching deep, that people understand you have taught a lot. Now we start teaching you in depth. Understand the knowledge. Then no virus is a virus. Doesn't matter where in the universe you are. And then understand you cannot carry a cup of CO2 on planet Zeus with you. You have to understand how your soul can create such a filter, even for itself. Many people says, oh, you talk about the soul, you're the only one you see, because you don't spend to understand the structure of your soul. You have no ability to understand. You have not made time. You're so physical. Show me, I believe it. And then when you tell them it's there, they say, no, 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 it's not this one, it's something else. When you see it twice and you tell them no, they say there's always something else. It's not what you see. Because we cannot see, so you're stupid. But you see, we can see. Try to understand the knowledge, not, I was told many times, I said, oh, he says you don't understand, we're all stupid. You're not stupid. You physically have no knowledge to understand the reality. You denied yourself 10 years of teaching because you never understood the facts of it. And the ones we showed the fact to, escaped. And they thought they were very clever. How many doctors are taught privately? And once they realize they've got a key to something, suddenly they all use the foundation, the knowledge I gave them to become millionaires. But they're paying with the life of their children. Because they block the children of the man, thou shalt not allow their children to grow. We've seen it. The reality is, understand the technology. The reality is to understand the process of the technology, how it does, where it does, the reason it does. You're worried about the tiny pack of energy, and the whole humanity has panicked with it. It's a needle. You haven't seen the syringe yet. And the beauty of it is, or the reality of it is, when you become a man of space, these packs come to you every second. The faster you travel, the more friction you create, and in the creation of friction, the more plasmas which are created by your own soul will manifest themselves, which in compact and interact can take over your soul. Another energy pack. You have to understand the truth and the reality about life in space, which is you as well as anything else. Even your soul is a virus to something else. Don't look at yourself so innocently that we're getting attacked by a virus so-and-so. You are a virus to another being through your strength of your soul. What do you talk about? How are you going to explain to the thing is, no, I'm a human, I love you, I want to give to you, but sorry, somehow you become my food. Or I like to land on you with my soul. That's what the virus does on the cell of the man. So not only you have to be aware of not being boarded on, but at the same time, not you boarding on somebody else's life, existence. And then how do you detach yourself if you become part of another life that you're so good, but you kill so many? It's not all one way we are victims. We are ourselves murderers without knowing, but we have to become aware of how that we can stop both ends. And then you'll find out everything has a different orientation, and everything has a different mutation, everything has a different mutation about it. How? Well, we thought we are innocent people, we are attacked by a virus, but we are a virus to something else. But we can't see it. If you look, how does this virus mutate? Because it comes to your body can absorb it, it finds a way to overcome it or find a link to it, and now it still has it, you give it to your child. And your child gets, you cause his illness or her illness, or your wife, or your husband, or your neighbor. So now you are actually the virus carrier because now you have become the virus. The mutation doesn't come that the virus just finds something. The mutation of virus comes within our body. We mutated and we give it to somebody else and we become the murderer for them if they die. This is why we promote at the moment till your understanding becomes deeper in the production of CO2 with the amino acid. Amino acid, amino acid. We keep on repeating it. And the doctors made sure that you don't get this message. All the doctors are taught personally left the foundation for financial gains from what they've been taught. I spent a lot of time teaching individuals. We saw with the energy system, what we went through, we thought suddenly it did not manifest what it was to be shown, because a lot of money was offered in the background. Many of you saw the trip from one point to Washington. The main part of the system disappeared, and I don't know where it is and what happened in Washington with us. And then apparently found a few weeks later, and nobody knows where the guy is. We teach, and those individual teachings has stopped. Now we teach very openly to as many as of you that those who create these fears have a fear now they cannot handle it themselves. Many times, as I even spoke of, we sat with Gates Foundation, so many meetings with the lawyers in Holland. Because that time in 2006, 2007, they realized what is about to come. When I said, no, I don't see a solution to it, what happened? The best friend of Gates happened. He suddenly appeared, offering us telephone numbers. Because they realize what this technology can do and what they'll bring in. And the nanotechnology of it, the plasma technology of it, the space technology of it. One by one. But I decided, I teach. If you understand, you use it. If you don't understand, you copy it, you still see the benefit of it. And you don't understand, you can't copy it, you find somebody to give it to you. And this is what we do now with gases. We give gases to people. Those of you who understood, make it, use it. And those of you who understood, create mutations. None of you will survive another attack by and through another virus, which is stronger than what we have. Ask yourself, all this number of people who we see, how many have actually recovered from the leaderships? All of them. But we're all the same. How many people we save? I was talking to a journalist past few days, and I said, very simple. You know, when we saved the life of a man who was literally dying, and the woman next to him died, as you all know, he sent me a couple of weeks later, after he was discharged from the hospital, a picture of a boy of 3 and a 5-year-old. He said, Mr. Keshe, I've just sent you the picture of these two boys. Because of you, they have a father, and I'm still alive. And it took us how much? 10 cents to save a life? Because somebody decided to give the water to the guy. Somebody made the effort to go to the hospital and sit by him. But our leaders at the moment all have been bought. But your leader, your soul, is not viable because you cannot buy your soul. But you can use it to teach, you can use it to spread the knowledge, and whatever we save, we have saved, whatever it is to be saved. But what do we save in a way? Delay the departure of a soul from its physicality to find its dimension in the universe. Are we serving the correct way? Or do we sit back and watch and save ourselves and feed ourselves and look after ourselves? The teaching, as I said, in the coming weeks and months, will bring you to question your own existence. It brings you to question what and how, with the knowledge I have, I can change the course of my soul. Am I that soul who brings the change? Or can I create and be part of it to create that change, that soul when it appears can bring, make it accommodated to do it much easier for us and for the others. Try to understand the truth and the reality of the knowledge, not just by I get told, oh, you say monkey see, monkey does, and copycatting. This is the fact. If he hurts, then try why. Try to understand why this guy tells us we're all monkeys and we monkey see, monkey does, and we copycatting and we don't understand. Isn't this a wake-up call? None of your families, none of your friends, none of the people you teach across your nations and countries or language should die of any virus. If you understood, past half an hour of talks. We haven't given you a magic stick, we have given you a knowledge which is real and you can test it. They say once coincidence, twice you need to prove it, third time to confirm it. In Iran, in a report to his evidence of how many 12,000 cases officially registered by Keshe Foundation has been given to a government. 12,000 cases. Forget about hundreds of thousands which are using it every day. You think in all your language teachings, in all Brazil, English, French, German, whatever, Iranian, officials are not sitting and listening. Officials are not using. We have pictures of the head of nations with a bottle of gas on their table. Leading heads of states, districts with bottle of gases using it themselves. FDA, head of the governments in nations, bottle of gases on their tables. And I can just show you the pictures. FDA officials are using the Keshe Foundation gas technology for their own. And they invited me for dinner. Mr. Keshe, your gas technology is perfect. So we are correct, but we are not here for Corona. We're here to teach, to learn, to become man of space without killing, without consuming another energy pack, without anything else. But still we have to live the daily life.
Mr. Keshe, perhaps it goes back to you need to, when you said, I'm my own Messiah, how that challenges all their structures. How one goes about saying that, and how does one actually do that in a way that they can understand that that's something real? I don't see they never got that one, I think, or a lot of people didn't get that one. And how, when you said it,
let me explain to you. The 3-4 people who were so close to Keshe Foundation, and they worked and they saved many people's life, wrote a 62-page report, and they signed it, that the Keshe Foundation is the cause of so many things, and so many things, and so many things, and being part of this organization. 62 pages of it. It took national security of a government over 6 months to go through every single page and find out everything they wrote. These people who were, you heard them, you even have heard them on the Keshe Foundation, some of the teaching, have written such a report. And they nearly twisted everything against the Keshe Foundation. Thousands of hours of a national security of a nation was spent on assessing if I'm a terrorist, or if I'm this, I'm that, I'm Messiah, and the rest of it. And the conclusion of the report came out last week, and it was very simple. Nothing but lies. Nothing but lies. By who? By the people who these people have been paid halfway through the process, quite a good sum of money to turn.
No, I understand that, but how come they didn't understand why you said it? Not in the way that you said it. Well, let's say that for I'm the virus.
Yeah.
How easily that would be accepted. But when you said, I'm my own Messiah, I last man standing, and how that, in that simplicity, you gave us the key to everything right there, but how it was obviously taken out of context and everything. But that's I think that's where the virus thing is, that you gave us the connection with the amino acid, but a lot of people still like to know, how come two people could be in the same room? Why is the energy packet attached to one and not the other? It's all about control.
It's just because you all have 4 legs and 4 arms. No, we all have 2 legs and 2 arms. And why you some short, why your height is different, color is different, everything is different, because that little change creates a different strength of, needs a different combination of amino acid control. You're not the same as me, just because you got 10 fingers. We have a common denominator, but we are not the same. We can be in one room, one of us dies because of the virus. Because that virus matches up. If I be able to find the strength of the amino acid of all of you, I can control all of you. Just because you have the same things doesn't mean on the strength of the fields you're the same. And this is why it is. A mother carrying a child, the child gets the virus, but not the mother, in the womb of the mother. How many we have seen in the past year with corona? How many mothers have the corona but the child hasn't? Unborn babies have a virus where the mother is safe. Mother doesn't show any of it. And how come some families, 10, 15 out of the whole family, the whole 10 or 15 have got it? How come a father and mother gets and the children don't get? Have you ever sat down and thought why parents get it and the children? Isn't it that the parents are in love with each other and they carry and share a line of emotion, which is just between them? Their emotion and the love for the children is different. But between them, husband gets and the wife gets. You have to understand the effect of this as what I call psychological pattern of the work. How come in a family we had in Iran, 8, 9 people got it? One young girl of 9, she was the only one who approached the Keshe Foundation in Iran, and she was taught and she was given by a truck to a village where she is, and she learned, saved the whole family. 9 were killed. We had another one, 14, the same, with 9, 10 people in the family. Youngsters have the mobile phone, they start searching and they find foundation and they contacted. How come the rest of it? Uncles, grandfathers, they had none of, in one case, none of the children in the family had it. But the whole rest of the family, grandfather, uncles, they all had it. Enter in 2 different channels. And this is what something you have to learn. Is our emotion immune from the virus? Or is our emotion an answer to our virus?
That's a good one, Mr. Keshe.
It's not a good one, it's the reality. We do. That's why we are observers. You have to learn to observe everything. This technology is not just about the food, it's about the psychology of man and the emotion of the man.
Well, that's why I hope for the return of fun to science and technology, to enjoy it, to live it. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. The reality is that we need to all dimensions of our lives. If you just look at the physical side, you'll be losing. If you look at the psychological side, you'll be losing. If you look at the emotional side, you'll be losing one way or another. And if you look at the soul, you'll be losing. And this is how this race has survived this planet and its combination of onslaughts on it for millions of years. Human race is resilient. Any race, once created, will find a solution, even if it goes down to one, and then it will build back up. Even if it means to become a male and a female in the same body that it can reproduce itself. If the desire to love is that deep, you shall create. Isn't this what happened to the Creator? Desire to love, to give, led him to creation of Adam and Eve. And we are made of him, so we have the same resilience. It's just the way we have found easily to find a source to eat as a meat or a wheat. We have found easier to find a lover to love and to give than us creating. If man is put at the same position and condition of creator of being alone, man will create a need for himself without the shadow of a doubt. The same as I said, you can create on the palm of your hand gold. You can create on the palm of your hand a soul that it leaves in interaction with this environment, creation of what you will love, what you have created. It is within the capability and the power of the man, because if the Creator could do, should do. We are suckers on energies which are already produced and packed. We go to supermarkets and pick up a chicken pack to show our love that we exist. We find a woman or a man to the process of going shopping. If we are left alone enough, deep enough that the desire to exist, and now we understand the process. As I said, when the man understands how to extend his soul, in the palm of your hand you will create gold. You have the same strength. If you can create gold, you can create another soul. Instead of being of a matter, can be a living of your own. This is what the Creator done, creation of Adam and Eve. Where he is the Adam and Eve is the energy he created Adam himself, not a rep.